Welcome to Three Voices Unfiltered, where no topic is off limits and everything gets real. Join us,
Ranisha,
Teresa,
Suzanne, as we dive into hot topics, share our wildest experiences, and bear our honest opinions and thoughts. Buckle up, because with us, it's always raw, always vibrant, and absolutely unfiltered.
welcome to another episode of Three Voices Unfiltered. I'm Teresa, and I'm here with my friends Renisha and Suzanne. Say hi, guys.
hey y'all.
Well, today we got an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about one thing that I would change, and I know we all can relate to that. One thing that we would change, and it can be anything that's good, anything that's bad, anything that we regret. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Renisha, do you have anything that you would like to share with us today that you would change?
Yes, I would have changed marrying that second man, that short, little, mean, yellow man. But then I think about it. If I didn't marry him, I wouldn't have realized how great my new significant other is.
Wow, God
Gives you
has
perspective.
God has it. He has a way of doing that to us, doesn't he, you guys? I know you guys would agree with that. You know, we go through some challenges to get to the blessing.
It's so you can identify like what the good things in people, or things that superficial things that you were hung up on, and then you get that superficial thing, and he's crazy. And then you get somebody that's not quite your type. Because I had a type that I thought I had a type.
Right.
But the types were mean. And the types were crazy. And the types were whack. So now I don't have a type. And the type is... I actually do have a type. The type is God. Does he have a relationship with God? That's the type I want in my life, period. I can't do anything other... Because... I would be on a talk show, or the witness protection program. I would be on something because
You are on something.
that's true. I am, but meaning it would just take too much energy, and I'm at the age I don't want to expand on a lot of energy. I don't want to release a lot of bad energy. I want my peace because I've been through a lot raising kids primarily by myself. So now I'm trying to be more strategic in relationships. And so I say I would change that, but now I'm thinking maybe I wouldn't change it because
it helps you grow.
It helped me grow. And it helped me realize that who I'm with now is the person I should have been looking for all along.
Wow.
I had a pastor that used to say that if you can find a man that loves God with all his heart, he'll love you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He'll know how to love you.
Absolutely. This is the first time where I felt like I'm being taken care of as opposed to something else. So, but then Teresa started thinking about one thing I would change. I had an opportunity to see my brother. My brother was murdered in 2007, and I had an opportunity to see him, and I didn't. And that's something I would have changed because he was murdered that same day, and I had an opportunity to go to him, take my son to get a haircut, and I said, no, I'll do that later. I got this to do. It was right before school. We were trying to go school shopping, and I needed to get to JCPenney to buy the uniforms, and he was waiting to cut the boy's hair. And I'm like, nah, you can do it tomorrow. And I didn't get to see him that night, and he was murdered later that night. So,
Wow. Wow. Interesting. What about you, Suzanne?
Something I would change is I had this relationship or this boyfriend at one point in my life for maybe about a year. And that would change that. I would not have gone there with this person. They weren't mean or anything. They didn't mistreat me. I just feel like I was in a vulnerable place at the moment. I was dealing with some things, and I just feel that I didn't need that. Looking back, I didn't need that in my life, and I should have just not done it. There were some compromises that I shouldn't have made. And eventually I came to my senses and broke it up. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't anything bad. I just kind of like feel icky about it. Like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't a really practical thing to. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't practical. But that's one thing I would change. There's not many things that I would change in my life, because everything has been an experience. Even that was an experience, but I've learned from everything. Everything has been a lesson, and everything has, even if it's been bad or whatever, everything has been a lesson. And I will let you know if I think of something else. But that was the first one when we were talking about it. That's the first one that I would really like. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of what Suzanne said about. I had to really dig deep about what would I change in my life, and I don't have that many regrets. I really couldn't think of anything. But so the one thing that did come to mind was, if I could change anything, it would be my my whole attitude about higher education. I was on the path when I was in high school. I was on the path of being college bound, but I really didn't want to go. And I think I shared that in another podcast episode that we had. I wanted to be a career girl. I wanted to get a car. I wanted to get an apartment. I wanted to do all those type of things. And I was not interested in going to college. As a matter of fact, I enrolled in a community college just to appease my mother. And I remember dropping out and didn't want to tell her that I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go, and a lot of times when people, try to force your hand, my mother didn't force me. It wasn't that. It was the expectation.
Yeah.
Okay, to go. I didn't want to go. So I would change that. And I would change that really for the experience of going to college, that whole experience. Because I am an advocate for that right now. Just go, for the experience. You got the rest of your life to be an adult and be grown. You know what I mean? But go ahead and, and do that. So that would be my, I don't want to say it's going to be my only thing, but that's the thing that just popped up in my mind that I wish I would have done differently.
What about school that you were not feeling?
It wasn't that, because schooling came easy to me.
Yeah.
It just came easy to me. As a matter of fact, I even tried going back to school. And when I was, how old was I? I was 22, I think it was. And I said, I'm going to go back to school. And I said, well, what's going to make me the most money? Then I thought about being a lawyer and a doctor. And I said, I want to do all of that, whatever.
I thought about being a lawyer too.
I thought about being a doctor.
I did. I thought about that because I was talking about making money. I was a single parent, so I was talking about making money.
Absolutely.
And then I thought about engineering. I said, ooh, that would be good. So I took the SATs when I was in the 11th grade. So what was I, 16 at the time?
Yeah.
So I had to take, so I remember me and this other gentleman, we had to go to the New Jersey Institute of Technology because I said I'm going to be an engineer. And so we went to the Institute of Technology,
Cool.
and me and him, we took the SATs, and of course I passed. And I'm not saying that arrogantly. But like I said, school wasn't hard for me. It was easy. So I passed. And so there was this 8-week program that we had to do that summer where we stayed on campus. So I did have a little bit of a campus experience for 8 weeks. And I remember my son was a baby. And I remember letting my mother take care of him for 8 weeks because we had to stay on this campus for 7 weeks. And I think that last week before the program was over, we got to go home. So I didn't see my I didn't see my son.
Yeah.
For that time. But so I did have a little bit of a college experience. So I went to school for engineering, and then that got to be a bit much because I'm a single parent trying to go to school, trying to work full time. It was crazy. So I stopped. So I do have credits at the New Jersey Institute of Technology back in the 80s. But like I said, I tried again. So here I go trying something else again, and whatever. And so I thought about going to school again, but I had a really, really, really good job that was very, very demanding. So, and that's what I did.
You were able to do something that I don't think people can do now.
No.
Is get into a career like that. You were like a human resources like director. You can't just go in that without
a degree
now.
Yeah, I told the story in one of our other podcasts.
Yeah,
I
career expectations, I think
never
it was.
getting career shifts, I think it's called.
Career shifts.
Yeah.
Career
Yeah,
shifts.
that's a good episode, actually.
Yeah,
For a job.
look at that, because that one, but it was just it was what God had planned for me.
Yeah.
And I just went with it.
Yeah.
And because that became easy, and that was just.
But you were
something I just got
natural
into.
at what policy and like.
I didn't know that I liked people because because prior to that I did accounting and bookkeeping and numbers, and all this analytical responsibilities is what I did. And when you're doing that, you're in the office in the corner in the dark by yourself, with numbers and papers. Okay, so that's what I did, and I didn't think I liked people that much. But then when I moved from so then I moved from that into catering for music videos, and that's all about people. Oh yeah, I did. Oh, that. Yeah, I got you guys pretty much know that story. But anyway, so I did that, and so I do like people, and then moving back into accounting, and then working in corporate America, and then becoming a HR manager. Who would have known? Who would have known? And I loved it because I cared about people. And I just didn't look at people. That's why people think that HR you get a bad rap. HR, the human resources department,
bad people.
They're the bad people.
No, but they're the
I never looked at it like that, because I always, thought about. I always had this empathetic characteristic, whereas I always told people, put yourselves in the other person's shoes so you can understand where they're coming from. And 99% of the time that worked, because people don't do that. But anyway, like I said, higher education would be my thing, that if I could change, that's what I would change.
That makes me think of something that I would change, actually, in regards to higher education. So when I went to college right after high school, and my degree was computer science. I'm not a math person. I have never been a math person. I can do it, but I have to really study. I struggle. It's not natural for me to be, I'm not a math person. So I took a calculus course, and it was kicking my butt. We took the first exam. I studied and studied and studied and studied. I mean, I studied hard, where I felt confident that I was going to ace the test. So I took the test, and the test was nothing that I had studied. It just threw me into a loop. I was stressed out. I didn't understand any of it. I finished it. I turned it in. I went from the classroom to the registrar's office and changed my major. Don't know to this day if I passed or not.
What?
Wow.
Didn't care. Because I told myself that I didn't, and I regret. I regret not knowing if I passed that test.
Yes.
Wow.
And changed my major to marketing, because I said I want no math. But I should have stuck it out, because I was good at the computer science part of it. Writing, I was good at it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I was not good at math, and I regret that. I should look at where we are now. If I had a computer science degree and then gone on to my master's and possibly further.
I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know, because Suzanne quit.
Well, that's funny that you started out of high school to computer science. I did the same thing.
We're twins.
My degree was decision sciences. You remember that degree? And I wanted to be a computer engineer or do something with computers, because I love computers, but it was too much having Trey as a baby and going to class and going to work, and I just couldn't do it. But
yeah, I regret that. I wish I would have stuck it out and work with the professor and
I'm like you too. I couldn't do any math. Math is not my thing. English is my thing.
English is my thing. And then I keep anyhow. But yeah, I regret that. I regret not really studying what I wanted to do when I grew up as a in my career. Like then, I feel like I settled for my bachelor's degree. It was the easiest one to
Really?
Yeah, it was the easiest one to
We
bring
have the
all the
same
credits
degree.
over. Yeah, and masters.
I don't feel like I settled.
I feel like
learned a lot.
settled. I feel like I didn't study well because our bachelor's degree is so broad. It really is. It doesn't focus. I feel like it doesn't focus in just one area. It's information technologies, but it's very broad. Like we learn a little bit about everything, but didn't really focus on one thing.
That's true.
So I feel that I should have studied more what I want it to be and not, oh, this one takes all my credits. Oh, this one doesn't have any math or simple math. Oh, this one, okay, I'll do that. Instead of just thinking, I really want to be this. Although I did do research about being a lawyer and it was going to tell the LSAT, but
that my degree,
you have to go in person to be a lawyer.
You do. My degree got me into education, which got me into training, which got me into instructional design, which got me into my career.
I like my master's now, like adult education. I love it. I love adult education, and I like instructional design. And actually, I went to get ice cream yesterday and I saw his sign, and I tore that thing up in my head about that. Said that is just not user friendly.
Our bachelor's degree taught us how to organize content, like graphics and.
And do you find it to this day, like me with this sign? I'm like, that's terrible. That's not good for the user. You should. I mean, it made me anyhow. So I do like that. I like taking in and dissecting, content and curriculum. And, But anyhow, that's a whole nother. But I do regret that.
Yeah.
Do you think that that fear, just the word fear, the action fear, played any type of pivotal role in the things that we would change?
Fear and insecurity. In both my examples, it was not fear with the person, just insecurity. I was insecure to say no, I'm worth much more, and but fear, for the test, absolutely. I was terrified, and who knows, I may have even aced that test.
That's true.
But I regret not. The grown-up adult Suzanne now regrets that I may have been 19-year-old Suzanne didn't give herself a chance.
I don't think fear played in anything that I regret.
Yeah. And this particular story that that I shared, me either. It wasn't, it was not that. It was, I think the way I grew up, I just wanted something different. Okay. For example, I just wanted to be independent. I think that's what it was. I think that's the word for me for not, seeking higher education, at 18 years old.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah, I wanted to be independent. I just wanted to be that career girl. And I guess I wanted it quick, easy, and fast.
Yeah.
But what happened was God made it a little bit different because I got pregnant at 19, had my son, and then had to... That changed it.
That's the focus. It becomes the focus.
It becomes the focus, and I did try a little bit, I did get a car. I did move into my own apartment because when I was pregnant, I stayed with my mother. I was in the process of getting my own apartment. And then I discovered that I was pregnant and there was no need of me going anywhere trying to, be on my own.
Yeah.
But my son was 4 months old and I moved out. Because I'm still, on this path. And then I remember going from job to job. I used to chase money. I did. I chased money. I'm like, who's going to give me? I would stay at a job for a year, few months. And then I would go to the next thing. And it wasn't until my son went off to college and I moved down to North Carolina and got with this company and stayed there for 24 years.
And by that time, did you have any prior HR experience?
I had absolutely 100% no HR experience.
Wow.
But as I said in our previous podcast, I just was myself. And I just did the job. I did what was asked of me to do, and I was being watched.
And you had a good, what it hit is you had a good leader.
I had a good leader.
You had a good leader, and
Yeah.
for a leader to see your potential, that's really what did it.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
could have been excellent, and if you
Yeah.
didn't have a good leader that noticed, it wouldn't.
Yeah,
have
That's
happened.
right.
And if I
That's
want,
true.
look, and
Yeah.
if I want to be a little bit cocky, I can say, listen, I was making 6 figures when I left, when I retired. You know, people who got college degrees.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Definitely blessed.
Yeah.
Definitely
So,
blessed.
but I'm still all about, and even higher education is not for everybody, and I do understand that, you know. But what about a trade? You know, people seeking trades.
And they make
They make
amazing.
great money.
Construction managers these days.
Yeah.
make
So
a
whatever
lot.
your passion is, we're advocates for. We are advocates for higher education.
Oh,
Don't get me wrong.
absolutely.
We are.
Absolutely.
We're also advocates for whatever your gifts are, your passion is, and that could be being a welder, a plumber. I got nephews who are plumbers, and they make fantastic money.
Yeah.
They're good at it. And when you're doing something that you love, you know, you're a happier person.
Yeah, my nephew is going into welding. He
Yeah. They
just
make good money with
graduated
welding.
high school. He's going into welding.
Yeah.
Especially you do underwater welding. Woo, that's like
Ooh.
major cash.
Yeah, and then
because
you
it's
got
dangerous.
people, and let's not leave out the armed services. I hate to talk about it today, but the armed services, you know, a lot of people have made
Military,
great
yeah.
careers out of the armed services, and the benefits. Oh my goodness.
That's true.
Yeah, so there's opportunities out there for everybody because everybody doesn't like school.
So
You
how
know,
do we
what's the
feel
second?
about regrets? Is it something that we should focus on and just dwell over, or is it something that, you know, learn, keep it
I
moving?
don't focus on regrets because I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, okay? And God is pushing you in that path. Even though we do have free will, I understand that. But I'm still focused on God's will, you know, for my life. So if I'm sitting out here having regrets, what is that saying about how I feel about the Lord?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have any major regrets that keep me up at night.
Oh, nothing that keeps me up on
Oh,
that. Something
gosh.
like maybe I shouldn't have done that. That's most of my regrets, and I'm sure I have like little regrets of this and that and the other, but it's mostly like I shouldn't have done that. That was not. I shouldn't have said that or done. Oh, we can have regrets of even in relationships.
Yeah,
Where
I
you
mean,
could maybe
'cause-
say something like our previous episode that, or an episode that we talked about breaking up with friends. There's regrets there that things that we could have handled that differently, right?
Yeah,
regrets
but-
and
I don't have a regret with that one.
Yeah.
you have to watch the episode and find out why Renisha doesn't have a regret with
I
that.
have a regret, but
Yeah, but we don't do it. But the thing is not to regret it, to dwell on
Not
them.
to dwell.
That's it, yeah.
Don't let it affect you in a way where you can get out of your head.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, will allow whatever they went through to help them grow.
It's an
That's true.
experience, and sometimes we can use a bad experience to help others. Like you've not been
That's
through
true.
that. I understand. You're vulnerable. Maybe this is not the right thing for you, or the right fit, or the right person, or the right job, or the
yeah,
right whatever.
life lessons definitely teach you and hopefully prepare you to do something different, you know,
Absolutely.
in your life. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, this was
It was
great.
good.
This was a good.
So we don't
topic
really
to
have
talk
any
about.
regrets. We have them, but not really.
And if you
Wow.
have them, don't dwell on them.
That's
Yeah.
right. And think about it and share with us what would be one thing in your life that you would change. Share that with us. We would love to hear it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So
What's
anyway,
your hashtag today, Teresa?
our hashtag should be. I'm going to say this. No regrets.
Oh,
Okay.
3VU, no regrets.
No regrets.
I like that.
You know.
All right.
Hashtag 3VU, no regrets.
No regrets.
I like
All right. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you being here with us today. And until the next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Do us a big favor and hit that like button, share this episode, and subscribe.